Hey, you guys, welcome to this episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. So we all want to save as much money as possible, but you have to realize that certain habits will help you win with money over the long term, and some habits will keep you broke. And some of those habits, you don't even notice that you're doing them. So in this episode, I really want to talk about, okay, let's look at the habits that are going to keep you broke. Let's look at the habits that are not good for your money long term. All right, first up, using credit cards. Yep. Everyone's like, oh, Rachel, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I have this airline credit card or this because I get cash back. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I pay it off every month. I've heard everything in the book. Listen, here is my thoughts around credit cards. Number one, studies show that you spend more when you spend with credit cards. Just a fact. Every study that is done around spending money, everyone spends more. It's close to 12 to 18% more when you swipe a credit card versus a debit card or using cash because you have no emotional attachment to the credit card. So that's an issue. There's also an issue too that when you are playing this game that, oh, I'm getting airline miles, I'm getting points, it's so great, I'm winning. You have to understand that these credit card companies are not doing these points and these airline miles because they're like nice and they're like, oh yeah, we want you to win. No, it's because they're making billions and billions of dollars off of other people who don't pay off their credit cards every month and pay interest, okay? So I don't like the idea of benefiting from something that I know is taking someone else out. And so the whole underbelly of this industry, it's disgusting. They just want to make money. That is all they're after. They don't care if you're in debt. They don't care if you're struggling. They just want you to swipe. So I'm done with it. So those two things for me, I'm out. I can use a debit card. I can do everything that you can with a credit card except for go into debt. So debit cards, I'm telling you, is where it's at. And let me add this too, because I just can't help myself. But even talking to people that said, yeah, I did this plan, but I kind of kept one or two credit cards because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And when we got to the point that said, you know what, let's just get rid of them for a time and just see the difference. There was a difference, so much of a difference that they didn't go back and get a credit card because they really realized what it meant that you owe money to a credit card company at the end of every month and you're paying for things that you've already done. There's a psychology about it, you guys. It's a big deal. So get rid of the credit cards. Number two, trying to get the perfect credit score. Oh, the FICO score, the credit score. Everyone's like, I want a great credit score. Listen, mathematically, how a credit score is calculated is all around debt. It's the types of debt you have, the new type of debt, how often you pay on your debt amount. It is all based on debt. And when that is the one thing that you are focused on, is how to figure out how to play the debt game, it's gonna leave you broke. It's this idea that, man, I'm playing for someone else versus saying, screw all of that. And I wanna see my bank account. I wanna see my number in my bank account begin to grow and in my savings account and actually have real money and not worry about a score. So you can actually live life without a credit score. You can even buy a house through manual underwriting without a credit score. So stop trying to play the credit score game. It's not worth it. Next is not budgeting or tracking your expenses. So this will keep you broke. When you are not intentional with where your money's going, you're gonna look up, I'm telling you, every year when you do taxes and be like, oh wow, I made that much. I have no clue where it all went. It's this idea of not being in control, that your money is the one that is controlling you versus you controlling your money. So the budget gives you guidance and it gives you direction. Do a budget. Also, something that will keep you broke, this habit of impulse buying. We're all guilty for it, okay? It happens all the time. But when this becomes a habit, and if it is something that you're doing consistently, you're going to keep spending money that you don't need to spend. And some people spend money that they don't have and charge it to the credit card. So it's this vicious cycle. So stop impulse buying. Actually stop before you make a purchase. Ask yourself some questions like, do I need this? How long have I known that this has been around? Let me sleep on it for a night or two. Give yourself some time with purchases, especially big purchases, to know if you really still want it. Hey guys, do you want to know how to make your money go further when you're on the hunt for new styles? Then you've got to check out Jane.com. So Jane.com/Rachel, you can save 65% on clothes, accessories, home decor, and other fun finds. They bring you new deals from over 2,000 boutiques and designer brands every single day. So head over to Jane.com/Rachel if you're ready to refresh your style and to check out their latest deals while they last. All right, another habit. It's buying lottery tickets. Oh, you guys, I know people are like, oh, it's fun, the scratch offs, all of this. So listen, when it comes to gambling and the lottery and all of it, you just kind of have to be in the mindset that you're gonna lose, that it's not a way that you're gonna be wealthy. And there's been, for some people, this idea, this lie that in order to build wealth, it has to be something magical like a lottery ticket. And so people spend so much money on this stuff, chasing this dream, when you could be using that money to invest and actually keep it and actually let your money work for you versus spending it on lottery tickets. So if that's a habit, get it out of here. All right, another habit that you need it to break is if you live on more than what you make. That's gonna be the definition of being broke. Yep. When you spend more money than what you make, which means you have to fix that equation. You either have to bring more money in or you need to cut expenses, or both for the time being. So some people do this because literally their expenses to put food on the table versus their income, it just doesn't pair up. And if you live like that for a long enough period of time, you guys, you have to go into debt because you have to make up that interest, and it's gonna leave you in a huge mess. And so you want to be really, really intentional with both sides of that equation. Looking at your income. Does that mean switching careers? Does that mean getting a side hustle? Does that mean asking for a raise? Like, what does it mean on this side to generate an income that will support your lifestyle? And your lifestyle, is it too much? Do you have things that you really don't need? Are there things that you can cut for the time being to get these things to balance out? So living on more than what you make will keep you broke. Also, trying to keep up with everyone else. Yep, when you're looking at your house, how it's decorated, your car, your vacations, your clothes, your kids, everything, and you're comparing your life to everyone else, and you're looking around and saying, oh, well, look what they're doing. We got to do the same thing. If they're doing that, I should be doing that. And that comparison living will leave you broke, because here's the truth. Statistically speaking, 7 out of 10 houses in America are living paycheck to paycheck. And so when you look at the stats, you're like, okay, majority, more than half of people are living paycheck to paycheck, which means if there is not a paycheck that comes in, they don't have enough money to pay their bills. They're that tight. So when you're comparing your life to that equation, you don't want to look like them, okay? You want to be able to say, hey, we're actually going to pull back a little bit, fix our life, actually save up and pay for things. You don't want to look like everyone else, because the truth is, Joneses are broke. All right, another habit is having a house payment that is more than half of your take-home pay. Houses are a gift. They are a blessing. They are an intimate part of our lives. It's where we raise our families. It's where we go home after work. I mean, this is the place that is ours. So it is a very sacred thing. I understand that. But you don't want it to be a curse. And for a lot of people, man, their house payment takes so much of their income. And what's hard is when so much of your income is going straight to a mortgage or straight to rent, you don't have a lot left then to pay the bills you need to pay extra on your debt, do the things that you want to do, save, invest, give. It does not leave room. So that's why we always recommend your rent or mortgage payment be no more than 25% of your take-home pay. The last habit is not having anything in savings. This is big. When you don't have money saved for emergencies, you end up using debt to cover them. So you have a car problem, you fix the car problem with a credit card, now you have a money problem. The problems continue to escalate. And so having money saved is so important. That's why we always say have a starter emergency fund of $1,000. And then once you're completely debt-free, bump that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses. All right, so those are some of the habits, you guys, that can leave you broke. If that is how you're dealing with your money, it is gonna be so hard to gain traction. So some of these are big habits to break, some of them are smaller, but really it's looking at the individual thoughts that you have around money, your actions towards money, and what becomes habits, and what you really start to believe is just normal. And this is how I function with my money. It is so important to look at all of those habits. And if you have one of them, just for like 90 days, do the opposite. Do what I say and see if it works and if you like it. Because here's still, you can always go back to the bad habits if you want. No one's stopping you. But try for these new habits, these good habits that actually give you progress with your money. All right, make sure to share this video with a friend who is making it their goal to be wise with money. Give them this list, talk to them about it. And remember how one of the habits to avoid is not budgeting and not keeping track of your expenses. Well, one of the best ways to do that is EveryDollar. This is my favorite budgeting app. It makes it so easy, so simple to do a budget and track your transactions. And you can find that in the App Store or at RamseySolutions.com/EveryDollar. So remember, it's one of the best things ever is that you can take control of your money and create a life you love.